Say hi, buddy.
Hi.
Nice. So we are out here today scouting generator sites for the micro hydro project.
Dad, promise if you pick a generator site on this road, if you do it in these birch trees, you can tell those are, wonder what the heck they are, alders.
Well, he's not wrong. Those birch trees are one of the areas that I was considering setting up the micro hydro generator location. If I go down there, I can gain another 30 feet of vertical drop from where I was the first video. I can get it right down in here. Now this is where that water goes anyways. And some folks were mentioning their concern that if you divert this water, are you changing things? I don't think we are. Basically, that big spring is up the hill above us. All of that water is dropping into a crack and then coming out again right down here. I mean, you can see we've got birch, we've got alder trees. This is a grove of alder. There is a, I don't know, cottonwood or poplar somewhere. So this is incredibly wet right down in here. So that water up there is coming down and is coming out down here somewhere. Where precisely, we don't actually know. It's just all of it. It's also where all the water from the other big spring up there, which is also probably on our land, comes out as well.
And there's a bird.
This aerial shot was taken in July, almost August, about 3 years ago. And it does really show you what we've been calling Narnia, the spring up on top. And the area that Shay and I are hiking into is the area that's coming up on your screen right now. And it's this wonderful little, it's just a little oasis, as it were. And once again, it's full of all sorts of plants that aren't on any other spot on the property.
Now, at first blush, it doesn't appear to be nearly as wet down here as it does in Narnia up there. But we do have salmon berries, we do have the sword ferns, and you can feel it in the air. It's just wet. Okay, that's a good place to be. So the pros of putting it down here. It's going to give me that extra 30 feet of elevation. That's not nothing. It is going to get a little farther from the house because my understanding is these things howl a bit. Though I intend on building the building out of the natural rock, and you know, I got a lot of it. So if my walls are 2 feet thick, I can't imagine too much noise will get out. It would also provide a nice little permanent water feature, at least down into here. Okay. And you can tell, right? Look how wet that is. You can tell that this has standing water in it a lot of the time, right here. That would give me a relatively straight shot for the power up to the house, though it's going to be a fairly long run. And that's a problem for all of our spots if I'm going to go and maximize elevation drop. Now, I have poked around and done some research. In the state of Montana, I can have 35 gallons a minute for really anything. That's a lot less than I wanted. It might be possible to tap in a second spring farther up, so where you saw me dig the hole, go up another 80 feet and tap in and register under my wife's name. It might be possible to get a variance. The other thing to remember is this water doesn't leave my property. So in the state of Montana, that gives me a tremendous amount of leeway. And everything ends up in the river, which is just right over there. So it's not that big a deal. all we're doing is taking some of the water that's running through the underground caverns and bringing it down the hill in some pipes artificially. This would be a nice spot for that. However, this is also the location that if I ever wanted to dig a pond or, you know, have some trout or something like that, this is where that would go. And you could build a nice little mill building and a cute little water wheel with the outfluent, but what if I want to put it somewhere else? There is one other spot. Upsides, you will never hear it. Downsides, you're going to have an awful lot of power line. I can hear a train. It's going real slow. This is the canyon. So this thing basically bisects the property. And what's cool is on the topo maps you can actually see where all the water swirled around up top and then came racing down right through here.
It's really a neat feature. And you can see from, this is the satellite image overlaid with a sort of a see-through topo. You can just see the canyon and the area that it drained. And so when I'm standing here talking about where I want to put this, I'm putting it in the back of that little sort of triangle area, right there at the bottom of the canyon. And you can see that the house is just over the hill, and the spring is up at the top.
Probably Glacial Lake, Missoula. Other than down at the river, this is the lowest. Watch out, there's some thorns right there. This is the lowest in the property. So if I was to build the generator house right here, I'd be at like 220 vertical drop from where you saw me dig the hole and 240 from the upper reach of the spring. So this canyon, like I said, goes right up there. You would have to run it up and over this vertical cliff right here. It's not that big a deal. And the house would be right over there, up, over, and back down. So once again, it's going to have an awful lot of electrical wiring run. And I don't know where the trade-off in voltage drop and installation cost and having the greater distance is. That's something that might have to be calculated. And I am going to look more into wind power. So you've talked about putting wind power on top. And my fear with wind power is that I have to have a whole battery bank. I'm trying very hard to build a grid tie system. So it just generates, and when I use more, I pull more, and when I don't use more, it turns my meter backwards. That's what I'm hoping to do.
Dan?
So yeah, there's the canyon, runs right up there. And the spring is in a dead straight line right through those two fir trees. Okay, let's look over there. Boom, dead straight line. So this would have a pretty short route for the water, but a little longer route for the power. It also, however, would be dead silent. I would never hear it from the house. Build a little bunker right down in there, zzz, let her zip and moan and whatnot. And the water can collect. Down here. One sec, buddy. And just filter off into the river, and I wouldn't have to mess with anything.